Hi there, Paolo Mojo here, and what I'm going to do in this particular tech tip is show you how I created some synth lead lines for the track Sirena. Pretty simple really, but it's all about how you modulate the sounds and the parameters within the synth itself. So let's just play a little bit of the original track. Okay, pretty intense. There's actually two synth lines there, and they are interplaying with each other, but they're both pretty much doing the same thing. I'm modulating the pitch of the oscillators, and they have a ton of reverb on them to give them that kind of drama and space. So what I've done here is draw in a simple one-note rhythmic synth line. I'm going to mute this original track, and I'm going to bring up the mini Moog. And it's the version 2 because I wrote Sirena quite a few years ago now. And this is what I used, so for authenticity's sake, we're going to keep it to that. And you'll be happy to know that most of the heavy lifting in this particular sound is done for you by a preset. I think it's in percussives, and it's KU LA Tom, which presumably means electric tom. If I play that now. Watch what happens when I start to move these decay dials. You'll see that it's modulating the pitch, and the reason, or the way that it's doing that, it's using this modulation matrix here, which is turned on or off there, and is accessed by hitting open. And you'll see these various parameters. You get a source, a destination, and an amount dial, which is pretty much in common with any kind of modulation setup on a virtual synth or a real synth. You can choose your source, which in this case is the envelope section of the VCF filter, which is here. And it's modulating 100% the VCO 1, 2, 3 FM, which means the oscillators here, 1, 2, and 3, and FM standing for frequency modulation, or in this case, pitch. So by manipulating this VCF filter, the envelope, I'm going to be able to change the pitch of all three oscillators together. Okay. Now there are other things that it's doing. It is modulating the filter cutoff, which is here, by use of velocity of notes. Now we're not really concerned with note velocity here, as all the notes are, well, they're kind of full half. So it will actually subtly alter the cutoff depending on the velocity of the note that plays. And finally, the mod wheel, which is down here, is also modulating the filter cutoff. Now these are all parameters that are keyed in on this particular preset. I just happened to find it around the time that I was making the track and just started to turn knobs, which is still, in my opinion, the best way that you get results. Just start to play with things, move them around, and see what happens. And all this preset really, all this sound really does is just move these two decay dials, which then change these modulation parameters and change the pitch, essentially. Now the interesting thing about the Mini Moog is it doesn't have a classic ADSR filter envelope, attack, decay, sustain, release. It has two decays, and you have to turn on the second decay using this rocker switch here, and then it's manipulated through this. So it effectively emulates a release envelope, and you can see the value in milliseconds of how long that sound will last. The original decay, or the first decay, acts pretty much like a regular decay, and it will change the amount of pitch between the highest point of the pitch and the lowest point of the pitch for all three oscillators and that's also measured in milliseconds there. See? I'm just going to turn down the noise volume as well. So just to roughly emulate that sound, I am going to hit touch and record in a little bit of automation. And you've got to just make sure that you get the right length on that second decay, particularly to give you that yowl. So that's more or less what that sound is doing, but in order to make it sound really big, you need to add in some reverb. In my case, 2 different reverbs. Now the main preset that I used for this sound, and yes, it is a preset, nothing wrong with using them if they're there. You can actually search for your sounds, or your presets in here. I think it was called Bright Chamber. Yeah, there it is. It was 1.0 Bright Chamber, that's right. I've still got touch on. Be careful with that because that will write in whatever you do if you have touch on. Just bringing up the reverb. And then I'm going to have a delay on it. You can pretty much choose anything that has a close delay. I usually turn off the sync. And there I go again, not following my own rules. Make sure you've got touch turned off. Something pretty close, like under 100 milliseconds, so you just get almost a chorus effect. Maybe even a bit less. And then finally, I need to add in a third reverb or a second reverb, just a regular default setting for a Space Designer. And that brings itself up towards the end of the sound. I've already been practicing it there. Let's try that. That's more or less how I made that sound. Now, by adjusting those 2 decay dials on the Mini Moog, you'll be able to get the exact pitch of the sound that you want for your starting point and just play around with them, essentially, and get used to using the mod matrix in the Mini Moog. As I said, this is the version 2. The version 3 Mini Moog has a much expanded and easier to use modulation matrix system, but this one is still a hell of a lot of fun as well. So whichever version you've got, have fun playing around with it, and remember that these kind of sounds work best if you use simple rhythmic 1-note things, chords and melodies. You know, you can create good effects, but because of the changing pitch, it can create a bit of a sonic mess as well. So this is more for those kind of big room, crazy sounding tracks, pretty much like Sirena was. So I hope you had fun with that, and I'll see you on the next tip.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.